I want to poll voters between the ages of X and X within these precincts who have voted X number of times. It will let you choose the style. And this is really a convenient way to choose the style. I want to poll voters between the ages of X and X within these precincts who have voted X number of times. It will let you choose the style. And this is really a convenient way to choose the style because although it gives you all these options over here, the RNC has created categories that just kind of optimize your list for you. So rather than going through and clicking out of 20 categories, which categories do you want on this final list, you can just click these, mailing list, phone list, walk list, precinct list if you can't see it, and it will automatically generate the fields that are necessary to do that kind of thing. Or if you want to select, say, just their first, last name, and address, you can do that too by clicking on user-defined list. And then once you click that, you can check or uncheck boxes in the categories or the fields. The next option it will give you is sorting options again, just like you had on Create a List. And you can do it, this just tells you how their name looks on the Excel sheet. It's not really too important. Whatever you best understand works for you. And then you can choose, again, voters within a zip code, precinct by street order, odd, even order, however you want it to turn out. And then the last step, after you click that, this will pop up. It'll just ask you to name your file, and then you click Export Data Now. You can export it to a CSV file if you have some system that uses that, or an Excel sheet, which is probably what you'll most likely use. And the last step, that will take you to a screen that basically says, this is in progress. And while that's loading, it'll show you a percentage while it's loaded. While that's loading, you can navigate away from the page. You can go look up other data wherever you may need. The key is just at the end, the first menu item, My Data. That's where you'll go back to. And then you'll go to My Exports. And you should be able to find what you just created. So this is just a video kind of going through the full process. I think actually using some stainless kind of precinct. To give you an idea of what a basic count looks like actually going through the full steps. See, you saw the basic count icon, just a group of people. And then there are the horizontal menu items. You can select from those, select your geography. The video is a little choppy, but a lot of choppy. Positive point.
Jeez.
Okay, so you select it.
Come on, Joey, can't you stay up?
Twilight Zone.
Well, Jefferson Township.
All right, I think it's letting me know. All right, so you see, and you can see the townships, the precincts that you just selected.
No, they're gone.
They're up at the top.
Jeff, 1, 2, 3.
It's
not living well, but- Okay, so, and then here you can see your voter info criteria, obviously. And this is what we talked about earlier. You can see that party ID scale, phone numbers, all that good stuff. Cool.
Maybe you need to work on a live demo. Amen.
So you can just kind of see the process as it goes through. You select the
I'm
precincts.
still back on page 1.
We'll do it this way.
You're on Washington County, weren't you?
Yeah.
All right.
I want to see true.
Well, I think what we'll do instead of that is just go to the live demo. That way you can see it in action. Sorry, that video didn't turn out too well. But does anyone have any questions before we start kind of actually going through the process and putting all the steps in order? Yes.
Can we get the, I guess, is it the RNC who updates all this?
Yes, it is.
Can we get them to pull a new copy in January of 2016?
For updated voter lists and all that? Oh, yeah, yeah. Everything.
They haven't done it in the past, I'm just asking.
So do you mean updating from the Secretary of State's files.
Who
Yeah,
voted?
yeah, I think.
Well, not so much as who voted, because nobody else voted.
Oh, so
but
you mean for
I
January
get,
municipal?
I go to the county, I pulled the records. I pulled one in January, got a
Okay.
complete list of the whole county, got one in June.
Okay,
In my school district, because I got a school board election, they've already dropped 5,000, in the county, it's got 5,000 registered voters in the Melville district,
all right.
which,
Yeah.
like
that's
last
okay.
time, I'd be hitting 5,000 houses that don't exist anymore.
Exactly. All right. Well, if they don't have it and you notice that it's not in there, just send it to us and we should be able to get that updated. And at the very least, we can create a tag or something for that election to show that they voted in it. But we should be able to do that.
Because I'm just saying, that's what the last two elections, the GOP databases, by the time you come up to the election, it's 2 years old.
Right, yeah.
You know, I mean, unfortunately, they go, well, we only update it right after the elections, and
Right. Then there may be some stuff that we can do on the state level to update it further, but that might just be up to us. That might be a project that we have to look at. But yeah, I think that definitely could be possible one way or the other. We can find some way to do it.
because, I mean, otherwise,
It's
what you pull right now is really
Right. Yeah.
useless by the time you get, in the next year.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. We can definitely figure out a way to do that. Any other questions, concerns? Is anyone lost? It's okay if you are. Okay. All right. Well, let's try the live demonstration, see if we can get it to work. All right. So there's that login screen. And if you want to follow along and I'm going too fast, just holler at me. I'll be happy to slow down for you. So there's the main login screen. You'll just use the credentials that we give you. Again, if you don't have them, let us know. We'll be happy to get them for you. Accept the agreement. And again, as soon as you're in here, the first thing I would do is go to the new data center. It's just easier to use. That's the system that they'll use going forward. So I immediately click there. And then you'll type in your same information as you did before. And eventually there won't be this extra step. You won't have to log into the old system to get to the new one. The old system will just become the new one. Okay, and you'll click accept. And we're in. Again, the fancy statistics that you don't really need on the dashboard will pop up. You can look at them if you want, but they don't really serve a function. And then, so if we go to, let's look first at, so you go to tools, again, to look at any data, you'll go to tools. And then let's go to find a voter first, that way we can just see, I'll look myself up and I'll change myself to a Democrat or something. Not really. Again, so it looks just like it did in the video. You'll scroll down to the bottom. And if you're anywhere on the site, some of these pages can get lengthy. If you press that button, it'll take you back up to the top. Again, so there's my information.
He's a baby.
I am.
But you just put your name in, and you're the only one in Missouri anyway.
Yep, luckily.
If you're Jim Smith,
Right.
Oh,
Then you'll look at their address, their city, things like that to figure out which Jim Smith you're looking for.
But we only have only access to our township anyway.
Right, so
Wanted to bring up-
more than likely, you're not going to have too many people with the same name.
So we better write down your cell phone number now.
Yeah, it'll be up there at the end too. You can have it. Make it. Okay, so there's all my information. Yeah, I'm a baby.
this is, Tommy's a hard Democrat. That's
Hey, it's good we're finding that. Like I said, some of this information is just going to be flat out wrong. And that's why we're doing this. That's why we're having people get on the system and update information, because it's important that we're not sending you mail pieces that, You obviously don't need a mail piece to convince you to vote Republican.
No.
Yeah, who said?
But herein lies the problem, if I'm using this to target my mailings to, and
Yeah.
it's mostly wrong.
Well, I wouldn't say it's mostly wrong. It's mostly right. I would say, I don't want to put a percentage on it, but it's mostly right. Almost all the information in here is correct.
It's like I'm registered Republican and it has.
No, you're not registered Republican.
You're not registered.
You're not registered Republican.
Right, we don't register
We
by
don't
party,
register
so
by party.
it's just in some cases, it may have been what someone thought, it may have, it could be something random, I don't know. But that's why it's important to go in, make sure your information is updated first and foremost. And I will say that two things real quick that I just thought of. The first is MRP within the coming year is going to be rolling out a big system that'll be called the Virtual Precinct Project. Some of you may have heard something about it before. But what it will be is essentially individual voters reaching out to people they know. So in the past, we've always done this by street, by your neighborhood. But instead, we'll do it by people that you know, people that are in your circle, that you're connected to, and we'll have you go in and identify people that are in your circle and say, I know that my best friend Susan is a hard Republican, but she's in here as unidentified, and you'll be kind of in charge of fixing that. And then further down the road, we'll have people who are kind of precinct captains who will be in charge of turning those people out to vote as well. So we are working on some cures for that. It's not all hope is lost. I know there's some wrong information in there. Your information may be wrong, but that's why we're fixing it. That's why we're doing this. It's really important to us.
And how did you get to this point? Because
This is just,
search.
I just scrolled down and then I clicked on my name after I searched.
You
so-
click on your name?
If you'll go to Tools, oh, this mouse is a little slow. Tools, and then Find a Voter.
Yeah, so I found a voter, I
Okay.
found myself.
And
But
then,
how do you get from that to
so
that next screen that you had?
I'll show you.
You just scroll down.
You have to, it's kind of hidden in the screen.
I don't know, I'm not scrolling in mine here.
It's kind of hidden in the screen, but if you scroll down, you'll click Search,
Search, yes.
and then it'll pull this up. Is that what you see now?
Yeah, I've got that.
And then you'll click on that little search icon.
Ah,
And then it pulls it up.
searches for all that data.
Yep, and then it pulls it up,
Okay.
and there it is. And you can go in and change what you need to. And the way that you do that is by clicking on Edit Fields.
He swings.
Thanks.
And you can go in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, this is a good example, actually. So the RNC calculated party, that computer-generated number that I talked about earlier, it's just basically a computer's guess at what party you would be based on where you live, your socioeconomic status, just a bunch of different factors. Pull all in together to create this number. Obviously, I'm not a swing voter, but just because of the fact that I'm probably young, I live in Columbia, which is kind of a liberal center of Missouri, things of that nature. I haven't voted in a lot of elections. Their best estimate, the computer's best estimate based on that information is that I'm a swing voter. But that is really where you can identify what people really are. So I can go in and change this if I want to.
Do they pull in social media data?
No, no. And then I can click Save Edit. And the RNC has told us actually this week that soon there will be an app for this as well. I know that probably a lot of the systems that you may have worked with through HRCC or through an individual campaign, or if you used Data Beacon last year, you may have used the app. There will be one specifically for a data center finally soon. So before the election next year, you'll be able to use your phone to go door to door. Obviously, it's a lot better than having all this random paper, and you can update individual voters as you're at their door. It'll make it just a lot smoother and a better way to do it. So that's how you find an individual voter. Well, let's say I want to pull a walk list. That, again, is where you will go to basic counts. Excuse me. Any questions about looking up an individual voter?
What if my voters aren't showing up? Is there nothing in there?
Where is it not showing up at?
I'm looking for Norm Baxter. I'm looking for, myself, my husband, none of them are showing up.
I'm not sure why that's doing that. If you come up after the presentation, I'll be sure to put that big.
So I have a question, when somebody's unidentified or hard Democrat and they're really conservative, where do you change them?
So, we can go back here. Excuse me. So what?
Not obvious. Then you have a field for race ethnicity that needs to be removed or activated.
What's that?
You have a field for race ethnicity,
Oh, okay.
it doesn't function.
It doesn't have something for an individual. Are you looking at your own? It just doesn't have it, right?
It's one that should be a pull-down menu,
Yeah.
it doesn't function.
Well, that's because you can't change that. Because that would be generally known information. And so there's some things in here that you just can't change because the RNC doesn't want you to go in and put someone's incorrect birth data or something like that.
So it shouldn't be
Right.
there then.
Well, it just shows you the information. So say you're looking for an individual and you want to find out what they are for a specific thing, then at that point you can go in there and that just lets you view the information. Even if you can't edit it, they want you to have access to it. They want you to be able to see it. So, and that may actually be something for Jen.
Bruce Jenner would be in trouble.
Builds the boat.
No, put him under Democrat.
Okay. Smedley is a Republican, that's what I hear.
Yeah, he did.
No, really, he said.
No, I
it.
heard that too.
There, I read a funny article about, I think the title was, why Bruce Jenner won't speak at the Republican convention or something like that.
Oh, God.
It's satirical. So you can go into My Voters, and then edit fields, that'll be what you select, and then that'll give you the drop-down menus and all that good stuff.
Okay, wait, let me put back there. Okay, so I'm under search results, I'm looking at me right there. The only thing where I can change is this tag right here.
Well, you have to click if you click the magnifying glass,
Okay.
that's the key to it, and then it should pull it up. Yep, and then you have edit fields there.
You probably identify yourself as your.
What is TRC?
Maybe I should check myself as
Under
disease.
source type and TRC.
Who's the one?
Source type?
Well, they're up, scroll back up,
So,
right there, TRC. No data provided. Mine's got TRC, and it has the number 9
yeah.
on the far left.
That is telephone reliability code. I had to think about that for a second. So that's what we talked about where it says 9 means that we know that's their phone number, they're going to pick it up. Well, they may not pick it up, but we know that's their phone number. And 0 means we have no idea. It's going to be Joe Schmo's phone
No, I
number.
don't pick it up.
I'm wondering if things like nicknames, when she's looking for Norm Baxter.
Right, that would
You
come.
guys-
Actually, I went out of it, I went completely out of it,
Okay.
went back in, and then it found it.
Okay,
But if you got him under Norman Baxter, would he
Right.
still show up when she puts in Norm
no,
Baxter?
no. And that's kind of just a fault of the
But if you
system.
put the address in, again, if the
And
name,
this is sort of last
the
name.
name doesn't exactly agree, it won't show up.
Well, in a situation like that where you know someone's first name may not be their real full registered first name, I would search first by their last name, and then you can use some of those other criteria like state to kind of narrow it down.
Can you change it?
Okay, well, no, you can't change the registered name because that's how they register as a voter. And there's no real nickname option, and that's just kind of a fault of the Secretary of State's file being truly their legal name. Any other questions?
So I would click on edit, and then edit those fields.
Yep, and you change all that in.
That's it.
All right, so that's the find a voter again. And then the next most useful one is basic counts. And that's again what we talked about where you're going to pull a big list instead of finding an individual.
Well, this is neat too, because then it shows the household numbers too on that
Spring, right?
Right, yeah, exactly. Okay, so even, yeah, even if you're organizing just a neighborhood Republican club, and you want to know if Susie May down the street is a Republican, if she'd be interested, if it's even worth your time going to her door, you can find that too, and figure out, who you want to invite, things like that. So it could really be used in a lot of ways to organize at every level, from statewide phone calls and mailings down to having conversations with individual people. So this is the basic count screen. It should look familiar by now because those are all the horizontal menus that we talked about earlier. Again, some of these you won't use, some of these we suggest not using because they're just no purpose, especially on the township level. And there are some that you won't use. But again, we know what this is now, and we can click within a county. I have access to a lot of counties, so it might take a little while. Okay, so say we're in St. Louis County. And once you highlight this over here, it should pop up with the precincts for that county. What's AP?
Airport.
Airport.
So let's say I want to find voters in Airport Precinct 1. I can go there, you click Save. And this is a little slow. That's something I wish they had fixed about data center, and that will be kind of fixed with the new update. It might be a little quicker since they won't have two systems running, but it is a little slow and you just kind of have to wait for it. And then once it's saved, it'll show you right up there, Save Precincts for County St. Louis. So that knows that I selected Airport Township 1, Precinct 1 for Airport Township. And then, this just says, what does it say? It just says OK. So after you save it, you can click OK. And again, it takes a little while for some of these functions to work. Keep in mind that it would probably be quicker on yours. For mine, it's pulling in thousands of records, so it has to sort that out. And then you can see what township or precinct you selected. We selected Airport Township Precinct 1. And then again, this should look familiar too. We've already talked about all this data and how you can use it. So let's say we're in Airport. I'm looking for hard Republicans. And again, for most things, you're going to want to click register unless you're doing a registration guide or something like that. Make sure that deceased is click no. It should automatically do that just in case.
That one's for the Democrats.
Well, and we actually have a few people in some counties, especially in southern Missouri. I don't know why it's popular there, but we have some people who go in and they'll collect obituaries from the newspaper, and they'll go in here and update individuals who have passed. That way, it's not on there anymore. Because that can actually be kind of offensive to someone who gets a mail piece with someone's name who's passed.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing that you can do within your townships too that would be helpful to us. Okay, so our Republicans, we know we're in Airport Precinct 1, and
Is there one in the airport one?
we'll find out, right? Okay, so we're not going to select anything here, but we know what this is already, just so that we get a higher chance of actually getting a result. And we know that we can select by their individual vote history as well. You know what? Let's do statewide just to get a better front result. Sorry. This is important though, because if you want to start with a new list, you'll just do that. I'm not going to click a county, but you obviously should click St. Louis County in your precinct. And then we did that. We looked at that. So let's say I want to do people who voted in 4 out of the last 4 overall elections. And I'm specifically interested in people who voted in the 2014 general election. 4 times out of the last 4 elections. 4 out of the last 1, maybe we don't want those people.
That eliminates the city.
Okay, stop loading. Okay. That one you won't worry about. That's just for micro-targeting. the state party did a mail piece or something like that, we might use that option. For your purposes, you don't need it. So again, we're looking for people we're looking at the statewide voter file, and we're looking at hard Republicans who are registered, who voted in the 2014 general primary, right? And we generally don't use that, but we know what it is. Micro-targeting you won't use on the precinct or township level. We have other criteria. Let's say we really just want people that we can both walk their address and we can also call them. So we'll select 7, 8, 9. You'll have to select those individually. That'll pull in everyone who registers a 7, 8, and 9 on their telephone liability code. Okay, and you won't use survey. So there we go. We have built successfully criteria to use for a list. So say we want to make some phone calls to this list, probably create a list would be the best way to do that. Your request generated is internal. So
But must not like IT people.
You can see-
All day long.
you can see data center is still a little buggy, it's not perfect. We'll go back to that airport precinct problem.
Yeah. This is gonna be up for next year, right?
Yes.
That's what they told us.
Yeah, and I mean, they're constantly working on it. I was on the phone with one of the data engineers a few weeks back when I was working on this township deal, and they got really smart people that are always working on it, always trying to make it better. That's why they're doing the redesign. So they know that Voter Vault was a bad product, let's be honest. GOP Data Center in 2012 wasn't great. It wasn't really up to speed. This I have a lot of faith in, especially with the Walk app, and it's just a complete facelift. I think it's going to work better. I think it'll be easier to use. I think we're going to use it more for those reasons.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
You're fine.
I thought you first clicked on the city.
A few years ago, I may have made that mistake. I'm from Kansas City. So, well, hey. I have a Royals polo hanging in my car. I thought about taking it down. I didn't
You
want
better.
to- Okay. Okay, so we click save. It shows us what we saved. We got airport, but precinct. Then we click OK. It's going to load slowly. We already know that. So you have to be patient with it. Don't click a bunch. It will slow it more. All right, voter info. We're going to do hard Republicans. Let's do hard Republicans and soft Republicans. And independents. Let's do soft Republicans and independents. Let's say we're going for a swing vote thing. Or potential, we want to keep Republicans in. All right. We want to do registered. Is this kind of making sense now? Is everything coming together okay? Okay, so that's all we care about right now. We just want those criteria, and then we're going to create a list.
Might I ask, how tied in are you with the development team?
Not very tied in. I mean, if there's an issue that we see, one of the nice things about the new system is that they make it really easy to contact support, because it is literally just that button.
Well, my concern is with whether it's hard Republican, soft Republican, that criteria list, if they don't have something that qualifies when it was updated or how it was updated, I've done a lot of data mining. It would be useless to me if it's not really accurate.
Yeah, and it should
Or
be.
recently updated.
It should be. So this is the system now is as updated as it can be. And
Well, as it goes along, it'll be updated.
Right.
And if there's something that says updated, this individual record was updated 7/15, well, now I know that somebody's gone in there and verified some information. It might be valid. So I might want to send flyers to the Democrats and hard Democrats who've not been verified. But I don't want to send it to a hard Democrat who has
okay,
been
so I
verified.
should say if they have a party ID in here, and that's not a guess. At some point, well, it is a guess, but at some point someone has gone in and specifically said that. So it may have been an error. They may have clicked the wrong person or whatever it may be. That's why we have some of this wrong data. But if they have been identified, that is because someone has done that. So it shouldn't be just like a randomly generated kind of thing. So really, and if you have a specific question about an individual voter, or you think something may be wrong and you know them, feel free to reach out to them. Or if you want us to take a look at something like that, reach out to us as well. And there's also this, again, the support button just right there. It connects you directly with the development team at the RNC. They run out of the room there. They're all collaborating, working on stuff all the time. You can see I was talking to Sam Winter, I don't know who that is, about an issue I had, and they're pretty good about responding. I got that response within like 5 hours. So we created our list. There are 39 Sauk Republican or independent voters within that specific precinct. And we can sort our list however we want it. Let's say we want to do it alphabetically because we're making phone calls, we don't care about walking. And we're going to do household, only members not to count. Create the list. And then it will download. Maybe the load screen. I think this computer has a setting that's blocking it. But on your computer, that's just because we're using the general use computer. On your computer, when you click Create List Now, it'll just pop up in a screen. It'll be printable via PDF, or again, you can save it as an Excel file, CVS file if you have a purpose for that. Okay, so that's Create List. So we're going to go back in base accounts. We're going to do the same thing. We're just going to create an export account. Which again, they're similar. The export count is just more flexible in that you can use that big list in an Excel sheet for just about anything. Whereas this is really just kind of a user-friendly thing to have your volunteers.
Do you have the reports up there?
I'm sorry?
Are the reports on there?
On the reports?
Right, yeah.
What do you mean by reports?
The list that he
Yeah, like you can go in and look up voters, or you can go up and...
Yes, so it just wasn't popping up because this computer has a setting blocking it. But on your computer,
Oh,
when
yeah.
you click Create List, it'll pop up in a window and it'll have all the voters and their phone number or whatever you selected.
And like you said, it's exportable, so
Right.
we export it to a file and we can use it in the phone system
Yep.
or the
Yep.
calendar or...
Exactly. Okay. Airport 1. Click Save first. Wait for this to pop up. Any other questions while we're waiting? Save there, click OK.
Can we call you anytime and you can help us?
Yeah.
24/7.
Reasonably.
Among other things, that's what I'm there for. Yeah, no, hey, I have my phone on unless I'm asleep. I answer it unless I'm asleep. Call me anytime.
He likes working at 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Me too. Maybe not 2 in the morning, but reasonable hours, yeah.
Upper bound number of records that this seems to get upset about?
You know, I really haven't noticed a specific threshold for that. I think it's just kind of a sliding scale. So the bigger the file, the longer it'll take. And really, it's not too bad. If you're doing like a statewide file or something like that, it may take more time to create the export. And we'll get there in a minute and I'll show you kind of the percentage. That may be a little slow, but the good thing about that is that you can navigate away from it and come back to it.
And then here, if I may go back to voter info criteria.
Huh?
When I was selecting just all the things in the parties and registered deceased no, it wasn't giving me a complete list, it was only giving me a partial list. I'm supposed to select everything that I want, or if I leave it blank, will it just skip that requirement and give me all the others in the query?
It should.
Following what I'm saying?
Right. So when you create a list, it'll just give you what you select. When you create an export, that's where you see the more data. That's where you see the, is that what you're talking about?
But if I don't select male and female, will it ignore that part of the query?
No,
If I don't put an age in, will it ignore that part of the query and just give me the
Right.
party, the registered and active seats?
no, it shouldn't. So when you do that, and there'll be a screen here for that in a minute, but when you do that, there's a separate option that lets you select the categories. And so if you're only doing males, obviously the list that you get isn't going to have gender probably, or it will have gender and it'll just be all males. If you don't select anything there, then on your export, it'll show you a category if you select it for gender and then male or female. So you'll be able to see that even if you don't select a specific option here. Which can be useful for walking to if there's like a gender neutral name for someone in a household and you don't know who to expect to open the door, that kind of thing. It can be useful to see that data as well. Okay. So,
That really didn't answer, I'm not clear on what the answer is. Scroll back down a little bit.
okay. For photo
On gender,
Right,
if I don't click male and I don't click female,
right.
will it give me everybody, or will it give me, it was giving me a strange result? I
It
was
should.
getting,
It should just give you, based on the criteria that you select, everyone within that universe.
but what if I don't select?
Then you get it.
Then you
And
call me and
you-
figure it out.
Every time you check something, you're
When I was
restricted.
testing it, it was a bending on me when I was trying to do it.
So for example, if I didn't select anything for the township, nothing, then it should just produce an export that has everyone that we know of in that township. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because when I was testing it,
That-
I was causing something to bend.
That's weird. So if you have a problem like that, just let us know and we should be able to figure it out. Because the system's set up so that even if I don't select emails, but I want to show emails and I select that category later on, it should show me the email. Okay. So then instead of create list, we're going to do create export, export count. And we're used to this screen.
And then it's changed.
So this is kind of an overview. It shows you how many voters match that result. We already looked it up with the list, so we already know. It shows you again the categories you selected just to make sure you have the right thing. And this is what I was talking about earlier. And this just pops up, the fields will populate based on what you select over here. If you want a locked list, this is kind of like the RNC suggestion of the categories that you should include. You can always do a user-defined list, and that is where you could click individual categories to put on the Excel sheet that you're exporting. But let's say I want to do a mailing list. There's 39 people. And that's generally the information that you would want for a mailing list. You don't worry about tags, and then you come down here, and again, let's say mailing list, obviously you're probably going to do one of these two options for how you want the name to pop out, because if you're putting it into a document, you don't want it to say John Jane Smith / the Smith household. It looks kind of awkward on a letter. So you might say the Smith household. Okay. And then at the bottom, there will be a button that says, not families as public officers. We got booted. That's the news. So I think that was just an internet failure here. Okay. Sorry about that. Probably have. Then follow my instructions. Okay, so this is good actually. Let's say I want to go to a past export that I created. So back on that screen, you'll just click Create Export, and it will take you to a screen where you can download it just like a list. But let's say I want to go to a past export that I lost somehow. Then you're going to go to My Data at the top, the first menu option. And then My Exports. And this will show you the exports that I've done. So if I had clicked create export on that one, it would pop up in this screen. And so let's say you did an export 2 weeks ago, you like the list, whatever, you didn't work well, you want to use it again for some other purpose, that's where you can access that. It's just in My Exports. You can also save an export at any point, and it'll show up the same way, but just in a category for saved exports. And you can just simply, obviously that's the percentage, it shows you it's complete. I think the internet's cutting out on us, but you can, oh, yeah. But you can click the export file, and then it will download it for you, and you'll have the Excel sheet with all the information that you requested from the database. Any questions about that? Okay. And so kind of the last thing here is talking about how we're going to get the data back into the system, which is something that really a good job of it has not been done in the past. And we want to start doing that. That way, you know, there's no point in collecting data if we're not updating it in the database. And so what we're trying to do going forward is making sure that with the Walk app that you can upload it in real time, and if not, that there's a system in place where you can get the data that you have, whether it's on paper or in Excel sheets from however long ago, to us, and then we can cross-check it and put it in the database. And so what we're going to be doing is having, in some of the larger population areas like St. Louis County, we'll have a point person who we will send blank Excel sheets already formatted for you. You can just fill in the information with what you have from the data that you've used, and then send it back to that point person. The point person will give it to us, and then we can upload it, or they can upload it. That way that we're getting the information back that we're sending out. And we can fix these problems that we're having, like with party ID, or someone having an old address from having moved, these problems that we've had in the past, that just get us kind of return envelopes or whatever it may be. We're trying to eliminate that going forward. So that's the system that we'll have. Are there any questions about the presentation overall? Any concerns? Anything you want me to pass along to the RNC?
What you're just describing there is on things that we can't change.
For both. So, well, not necessarily things.
If we can change them, what's the need to give you
Well,
paper?
so if you, let's say you knock 500 doors one day, you have a really good day, you knock 500 doors, you don't want to go in one by one and look up 500 people individually and then update, unless you want to, you're welcome to do that. But it would be easier on our back end, what we can do at the party is upload a big spreadsheet back into it.
So it could be done either way.
Right. Right. So that would just be the quicker, easier way for it to go. That way you all don't have to worry about, you know, if you have 200 names, you don't want to click individually. It takes a lot of time. So yeah, that'd be the way that we'll do that going forward. Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much, Gary.
Yeah,
I
thank you.
Thank
I
you all
think
for
it
coming.
was very useful, and now we need to start using it.
And if you know of any candidate or anyone like that running for anything that will run as a Republican on the ticket, I have some user agreement forms I can give you to give to them, and then they can send it back to us. So just let me know, and I'll be happy to give those to you so you can pass them along. Or if you're running for something, I don't know.
Or you can just follow this through me and I make sure Gary gets it.
That works too.
Okay, great.
Thanks for coming.
Okay,
Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Gary.
How many political walls are there in the state of Missouri?
I know there's 5.
Really?
5 people with my last name.
No, political wall, though.
There's only one, yes, aren't we all like?
That's enough.